Have you ever thought that within just half an hour, a part of your heart could die forever? Many people still imagine that a heart attack comes dramatically, like in the movies, clutching the chest and collapsing instantly. But the truth is far more silent and frightening. Sometimes it's nothing more than a strange discomfort in the chest, a vague pain running down the arm, or simply breaking out in a sweat for no apparent reason. Can you believe that these seemingly harmless signs might actually be your heart's life or death warning? The most dangerous factor is time. After just 30 minutes of blockage, heart muscle cells begin to die. And within the first 4 hours, half of all heart attack patients have no chance of coming back. The question is, if one day your body sends out that urgent signal, will you be alert enough to recognize it and act in time? If you are in your 60s or have loved ones at this age, then the next few minutes could be the most valuable knowledge to help protect your heart. So, what exactly causes a once healthy heart to suddenly fall into crisis? Our heart is like a machine that never stops, pumping more than 100,000 beats each day to sustain the body. But did you know, this miraculous machine only works when it is fueled by tiny blood vessels called coronary arteries? They are like highways carrying oxygen-rich blood to the heart. And when these highways are blocked, the entire city of life inside your chest can collapse in an instant. Isn't it terrifying that a single small blockage can take away a whole life? What causes these vital roads to the heart to become blocked? Science has identified 3 of the most dangerous culprits: high blood pressure, bad cholesterol, and smoking. These are not unfamiliar threats, but everyday realities for many older adults. Do you see yourself or your loved ones falling into one of these risk groups? And if so, can you be certain that your heart is still safe? Imagine this. Just one small plaque that has been building up over the years suddenly ruptures. Instantly, your body switches to emergency mode. Platelets rush in to patch the tear, but instead of saving you, they create a larger blood clot that completely blocks blood flow to the heart. Within minutes, heart muscle cells begin to die, and the nightmare of a heart attack officially begins. At that moment, what signals will your body send out to call for your help?
The first warning sign and its danger. The most frightening thing about a heart attack is not always the crushing pain that makes you clutch your chest and collapse like in a Hollywood movie. In reality, many older patients experience the onset of a heart attack with nothing more than a vague, heavy sensation in the chest. Imagine it as a small stone pressing inside your chest, subtle at first, but gradually becoming more uncomfortable. Would you easily dismiss that feeling, thinking it was just indigestion or ordinary fatigue? From a medical perspective, when a plaque in the coronary artery ruptures, the body reacts just as it does to a cut on the skin. Platelets rush in to patch the damage, but unfortunately, they form a blood clot that blocks blood flow to the heart. The heart then becomes like an engine cut off from its power supply. Its beats turn chaotic, and the risk of death can come very quickly. The important thing is that the body always sends out distress signals before disaster strikes. But the question is, will you recognize them and act in time? If chest pain is the first warning, then what is the next sign that your heart is truly crying for help?
The next dangerous sign. If chest pain is the first alarm bell, then the second sign often leads many people astray: pain that spreads to other parts of the body. Have you ever felt pain starting from the chest and running down the arm, up into the shoulder, or even radiating to the neck or stomach? Many people mistake it for age-related muscle or joint pain, but in fact, it may be the heart crying out. Can you be certain that you can distinguish between harmless pain and the warning signs of an impending heart attack? Scientifically, when the heart is deprived of blood, the pain signals are not limited to the chest. The interconnected nerves cause the pain to spread to various areas. This misdirection is what often delays people from seeking medical help. But there's a very simple rule to remember. When you feel unusual pain or discomfort in your chest, shoulder, neck, arm, or stomach, especially if it comes with shortness of breath or cold sweats, never ignore it. Do you realize that just one early call to 911 could change your entire life? So, beyond these vague pains, what other subtle but extremely dangerous symptoms do many patients overlook?
The third dangerous sign. There is another sign that is often overlooked: shortness of breath accompanied by overwhelming fatigue. Have you ever found yourself gasping for air after only a few steps, your chest feeling tight and constricted, even though that never used to happen before? Many older adults assume shortness of breath is simply due to aging, lack of exercise, or weak lungs, but in truth, in many cases, it is a desperate cry for help from a heart starved of oxygen. Have you ever wondered, if your breathing suddenly becomes labored because your heart is struggling in the dark, would you recognize it? From a medical perspective, when the coronary arteries are blocked, the blood cannot deliver enough oxygen to the heart. As a result, the body reacts with shortness of breath. This is not ordinary fatigue. It is a warning that your heart can no longer maintain its healthy rhythm. The crucial advice for you is this: if sudden shortness of breath occurs, especially when combined with exhaustion, chest pain, or a cold sweat, treat it as an emergency and seek help immediately. Do you think waiting just 10 more minutes would be safe? Or could those 10 minutes decide between life and death? But there is yet another symptom, one that seems harmless, yet is a silent killer in many cases of heart attack. So what is it? The fourth dangerous sign. A subtle yet extremely dangerous sign that many people never consider is unusual cold sweating. Have you ever been sitting still, not moving, not in the heat, and suddenly broke into a sweat as though you were drenched? The feeling is like an unprovoked wave of anxiety, leaving you shaky and pale. Many heart attack patients recount that before the heart attack struck, they experienced a sudden, unexplained episode of sweating. Can you be certain that the last time you broke out in a cold sweat, it wasn't your heart sending out a warning? Scientifically, when the heart is not being nourished adequately, the sympathetic nervous system is triggered, causing the body to pour out sweat in an attempt to compensate. This is a survival response, but it is also a death knell if we ignore it. That is why, if one day you or a loved one suddenly breaks out in a cold sweat, especially if it comes with chest pain or shortness of breath, do not hesitate. Every passing minute is precious when it comes to protecting the heart. Do you realize that a single emergency call at that moment might be the priceless gift you leave for your family? But did you know that all of these symptoms are just the tip of the iceberg? Beneath the surface, the body is undergoing profound biological changes that can drive the heart from irregular rhythm to complete cardiac arrest. A simple scientific explanation. Have you ever wondered what really happens inside the heart when a heart attack begins? Many people only notice the outward symptoms, chest pain, shortness of breath, or cold sweats. But inside, the heart is fighting for survival. Imagine the coronary arteries as water pipes leading to a central pump. When one section of pipe is blocked, the blood, or in other words, the current of life, can no longer reach the heart muscle. And without this electricity, the pump begins to sputter, beat irregularly, and may even shut down completely. Isn't it terrifying that just a small blockage can bring down the entire system? I recall the case of Mr. Michael, 69 years old, from California. When he arrived at the hospital, he only reported feeling slightly dizzy with mild chest tightness. But just minutes later, on the heart monitor, his heart began to beat chaotically before stopping altogether in an instant. Thanks to the medical team being right there in the emergency room, he was resuscitated with an electric shock and survived. The doctor explained that when part of the heart muscle is deprived of nourishment, it becomes rebellious, creating chaotic beats known as ventricular fibrillation. Without immediate intervention, the heart would have stopped completely. Can you imagine what might have happened if he had arrived at the hospital just 10 minutes later? From a scientific standpoint, heart damage begins after only 30 minutes of blockage, and it becomes irreversible if it continues. That is why doctors always emphasize time is muscle. The sooner you get to the hospital, the more heart muscle can be saved. The advice for you is clear. Never wait until the pain becomes more obvious before seeking help. Act the moment you feel something is wrong. Do you realize that hesitation itself can sometimes be the very reason we lose our golden chance? So then, once a patient is admitted to the hospital, what can doctors do to restore blood flow and save a heart in crisis? Have you ever wondered what truly determines the survival of a heart attack patient once they reach the hospital? The answer lies in one thing: how quickly doctors can restore blood flow to the heart. There is a procedure called coronary intervention, or angioplasty. Put simply, doctors thread a thin tube through the blood vessels to the site of the blockage, inflate a tiny balloon to widen the artery, then place a small metal scaffold called a stent to keep the vessel open. Can you picture the miracle of this moment when within minutes blood rushes back to nourish the starving heart? I recall the case of Mrs. Linda, 71, from Texas. When she was brought to the hospital, she was in critical condition, suffering from severe chest pain, her pulse slowing dangerously. The doctors immediately performed an emergency coronary intervention. In just over half an hour, she was saved. After the procedure, she tearfully shared, "I thought that day would be my last. But thanks to the doctors and this technique, I was given another chance to live with my children and grandchildren." Doesn't it give you comfort knowing that the heart still has a chance as long as we act in time? The most important thing you need to remember is this: a heart attack does not always mean death. If detected early and treated promptly, the heart can recover. Time is life, and your own proactive response can create a miracle. Do you want to know how we can turn fear into hope and the motivation to live healthier each day? You see, a heart attack is not always a sudden storm. It often begins with quiet signals: vague chest discomfort, pain radiating to the neck or arm, labored breathing, or even unexplained cold sweats. If we ignore them, the heart may stop beating within hours. But if we recognize and act quickly, the heart still has a chance to keep beating steadily for many more years with your loved ones. So will you choose to listen, or will you turn away from its cry for help? I believe that growing older is not the end of the road, but simply a new chapter in the journey of healthy living. You can prevent up to 80% of strokes and heart attacks through small lifestyle changes, controlling blood pressure, eating a balanced diet, staying physically active with light exercise, and most importantly, never ignore unusual warning signs. Every minute you recognize early, every minute you act, is another chance for your heart to keep beating with love. Are you ready to start taking care of your heart today? If you find these insights helpful, please click like so I know you're here with me. Hit subscribe so you won't miss important knowledge, and share this video with your friends or loved ones, because who knows, a single click from you might save another heart. Leave a comment below. Have you ever experienced or witnessed any of these warning signs? I'd love to hear your story. And in the next video, I will reveal in detail how doctors perform coronary intervention,
the bridge of life and death that has saved millions of heart attack patients. Are you curious to see how a heart can be brought back to life?